Cable cars are common all over the world and are seen as an efficient and safe way to transport people across terrain that would be extremely difficult to traverse by other means, including mountain ranges and rivers. They're also a popular tourist attraction, giving amazing views of beautiful natural landscapes. However, like any means of transport, there are risks. The cars that traverse these distances are often suspended hundreds, if not thousands of feet above the ground. There are safety features installed as standard, but just 3 years ago, an unscrupulous company in northern Italy, more interested in profit than the lives of their passengers, deliberately deactivated these measures, and this, coupled with poor maintenance, would have terrifying consequences when a carriage hurtled down a mountain and crashed into the ground. All of this was captured on CCTV. Welcome to Tales of Tragedy. Today, we go back just 3 years to 2021 and travel to the Piedmont regions of northern Italy. In this region is the town of Stresa, on the banks of Lake Maggiore, the largest lake in Italy. The town began to grow significantly due to tourism in the early 1900s, when nearby Mount Mottarone was opened up for skiing. This led to an influx of people in the town, and a railway was constructed to transport tourists up to the summit of the mountain to enjoy spectacular views and a day's skiing. The railway was later replaced with the Stresa-Mottarone cable car service, which opened in 1971. The line had 2 parts, with a station halfway up the route at the town of Alpino, where people could get out and visit a botanical garden specialising in alpine plants before continuing their ascent to the summit of the mountain. There were 4 cars, 2 for each section, one going up and one going down, each with a capacity of 40 people. Whilst I use the term cable car, this is a catch-all term which doesn't highlight different engineering systems used in this method of transportation. In the case of gondola lifts, the car moves in a circuit, so the cars go down, and then when they reach the bottom, they go around a ball wheel and then take passengers up. The system in this case is what is known as an aerial tramway, whereby the carriage simply goes up and down on its track. The cars in this case were attached to 2 cables, the track cable, which supported the car, and the haulage cable, which was attached to a motor which pulls it. Built into each car was a hydraulic braking system, which was designed to stop the car if the haulage line should break. Due to the COVID pandemic, the cable car system was shut down for over a year. During this time, the company responsible for maintaining the system, Liner Roadways, claimed, after the tragedy, that they'd carried out thorough safety checks on the system in 2020 and 2021, which included checking the cables thoroughly, as well as checking the automatic braking system on each car and simulating a rupture of the haulage cable to ensure that the cars would act as intended in an emergency. However, a later investigation which showed that the haulage cable, one of the lines, was, quote, rusted from the inside. This was due to a routine maintenance measure intended to reduce oxidation of the steel cables, having not been done for 5 years, when this was meant to happen, per regulations, every 3 months. Despite this, the tragedy that occurred could have been avoided if the next absolutely astounding decision had not been made. When normal service resumed on the 25th of April 2021, it was noticed there was a fault with one of the cars which travelled between the midway point of Alpino and the summit of the mountain. There was a hydraulic leak from the automated braking system, which meant the car kept stopping. Instead of shutting down the car and calling an engineer, one of the employers, who was working for Liner Roadways, disabled the braking system. This decision was made and implemented by a man called Gabriele Tadini, a car technician at the site. The rationale for this, as outlined in a later accident report, was on the misguided belief that, quote, a cable breakage could never happen. However, it was clear that the main issue was profit. Due to the COVID restrictions, whilst the cable car was now open, the number of passengers in each carriage was reduced to 15, down from 40. With one car out of action, this would impact the bottom line. Just a month later, this recklessness would have fatal consequences. At 12:22 p.m. on Sunday the 23rd of May 2021, 15 people unknowingly entered the faulty carriage to take them from Alpino to the summit of Mount Mottarone. Amongst them were 8 Italian nationals a man from Iran, and a family of 6 from Israel. This included Amit Baran and Tal Peleg, and their 2 children, Tom, aged 2, and Etan, aged 6, as well as 2 of the children's grandparents. The carriage ascended as normal, but when it got to within 20 feet of its final destination, the haulage cable snapped. The force of this sent the carriage swinging forward until it was almost vertical, before the momentum sent it hurtling downhill on the remaining cable. The carriage reached a speed of around 60 miles an hour before clipping a pylon and being forced off the cable entirely and plunging 54 metres or 180 feet to the floor below, where it then slid down the slope of the mountain before finally coming to rest when it impacted some trees. This horrifying incident was caught on CCTV. Rescuers quickly descended on the scene to find the twisted remains of the cable car. Out of the 15 people who'd been inside, 13 were killed instantly. Most were found inside the wreckage, but at least 2 people had been thrown out of the carriage and had lost their lives when they plummeted to the ground. The only 2 initial survivors were the children of the Israeli family, 2-year-old Tom and 6-year-old Etan. Both were airlifted in critical condition to a children's hospital in Turin. The children only survived the disaster initially because their parents used their bodies to shield them. However, Tom quickly went into cardiac arrest and died in hospital. Etan survived, and after spending a month in hospital, was discharged, with him then having to begin the long road to recovery and coming to terms with the fact that 2 of his grandparents, both his parents, and his little brother were dead. The Italian authorities quickly launched an inquiry, and this soon revealed the astounding negligence which led up to the tragedy, including poor maintenance of the haulage cable, but more galling of all, the deliberate disengagement of the automatic braking system, which could have averted this needless loss of life. Newspaper reports were published demanding that the full weight of the law be levelled against those responsible. However, it seems that very little actually happened. On the 26th of May 2021, 3 employees of Leitner Roadways were arrested, and this included car technician Gabriele Tadini. The other 2 men were soon released, as it was determined that they were not culpable for this incident. As for Tadini, his staggering level of recklessness actually got worse in the aftermath of this disaster, as he admitted, quote, deliberately and repeatedly deactivating the braking system. The final report into this incident speculates that he had deactivated the safety measure numerous times over the years to avoid halting operations. As opposed to being sent to prison for years due to his direct role in the deaths of 14 people, Gabriele Tadini was given 6 months house arrest and was released from this in November 2021, a free man. The Stresa-Mottarone cable car service has been permanently closed since this tragedy. The one positive, and I use that term loosely, is the fact that the capacity of the carriage was restricted, otherwise far more people would have died. It was not until the end of February 2024 that a compensation package was agreed for the families, totalling around €25 million. Of this, approximately €3 million is expected to be paid to Etan, who is now 9 years old. However, I would question whether any amount of money could make up for the loss of family members. In the case of Etan, 3 generations of his family, whilst the people responsible for their deaths never served a day behind bars. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, feel free to check out my second channel called Evil Among Us, which focuses on true crime. I'll put a link in the description. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.